There is so much good news, so much winning out of the Trump White House right now that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with.
There was a jab first. For many, it was just another segment on The View, a program known for its ferocious discussions and unrepentant partisanship. A smile, a thoughtless comment, or a contemptuous sneer were captured on daytime television and broadcast to millions of homes. However, Karoline Leavitt saw it as something very different, a deliberate attempt to undermine her credibility, destroy her character, and turn her into a political joke. What came next was neither a fiery diatribe nor a tweet storm, nor was it a retort in kind. Rather, Karoline sued, and at the age of 26, she set off the chain of events that would result in the most catastrophic legal and cultural repercussions in television history. Since Karoline Leavitt was facing forth against The View and ABC, a powerful media company, many people felt that the courtroom would never support her. The dominator of midday conversation,
Joy Behar, just offered her analysis on why Leavitt was picked for the role.
Whoopi, Goldberg, Bahar, Joy, Sunny Holland is a household name. Cultural titans appeared impervious to criticism, but when the gavel came down and the $800 million judgment was handed out, the tremor wasn't limited to a courtroom. It reverberated throughout ABC's hallways, across Wall Street, and into the very foundations of the American media establishment. Insiders described the judgment as an extinction-level event, and the hosts who had previously ruled the ratings vanished. Whoopi vanished from public view, Joy ceased communications completely, and the sun rose. A former prosecutor and respected legal voice was reportedly calling her lawyers in a panic, and Karoline didn't gloat or publicly celebrate. Instead, she simply left the courtroom silent and composed, like a storm that had already passed but left cities flattened in its wake. The chaos within ABC was immediate and total.
How ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time.
Advertisers left in a matter of hours. The big brands that you see during commercial breaks are no longer there. Like a power grid in free fall, ABC's financial lifeline was cut off when sponsorships vanished and rollouts destroyed the advertising pipeline that kept the paychecks flowing and the viewing set polished. This was a rupture, not simply a strike. With a concealed clause and no coverage for deliberate defamation, ABC's crisis insurance was worthless. They were now completely exposed and had no backup plan, bailout, or band-aid. This wasn't only an error. The outcome was nothing short of a Titanic-level effect, and it was malpractice. The internal breakdown followed. Emergency board meetings filled with yelling bouts, CEOs pacing halls with white-knuckled grips on coffee cups, and somber financial breakdown. Security was reduced, hiring was halted, and food was reduced to bad coffee and soggy sandwiches.
Calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over.
The word that corporate America dreads the most, bankruptcy, was finally spoken in the war room. Memoranda and encrypted Zooms with financial damage reports from Disney executives drenched in red ink emerged from that whisper. The co-hosts, the alleged leaders of contemporary media, were exposed to personal culpability. They were directly informed that they might be responsible for the harm. According to reports, Whoopi engaged a prestigious crisis management agency. Joy abandoned her own scandal. Sunny sobbed in private meetings, and the legal burden fell more heavily than any piece she had ever hosted. The evidence, however, was what truly broke the defense. In addition to making accusations, Karoline's legal team revealed a series of nefarious plots and Slack exchanges that specified who would make the most insulting remarks. Internal memos clearly outlining how to make fun of Karoline, as well as video clips of the co-hosts making fun of her during commercial breaks, were the last straw.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given.
A video from backstage shows Joy Behar laughing while drinking coffee and saying, "Let's see her sue us for that." She did, and she prevailed. As the video aired in court, one juror muttered, "That's cold." And it was evident not only in tone, but also in what it exposed. A cocky attitude of invincibility that believed they were too powerful to face consequences. However, Karoline refused to play their game. Instead of ranting or retaliating with hate, she answered with facts, evidence, and a sledgehammer of truth that destroyed the appearance of media immunity. Following the verdict, ABC's senior executives shouted allegations at each other in boardrooms that are now compared to corporate funerals, causing the industry to scramble. A hidden survey revealed a warning that this precise situation might occur. They chose to disregard it, and now that carelessness is on display. In fresh shareholder litigation, all media conglomerates were alarmed by CBS. Even Netflix and NBC started doing legal audits.
He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because
Contracts for streaming platforms were revised. Defamation clauses were now included in talent contracts, and mandatory defamation training started to be implemented like safety procedures. The industry, which had previously exuded confidence, was now terrified since Karoline had not only won a legal battle, but also disrupted an established institution. The decision shook an enterprise, not just ruin a show. Online hashtags became viral, and the cultural reckoning happened quickly. Karoline, karma, bankrupt, a vision, and truth over talk. There is a lot of comments on YouTube. TikTok is overflowing with analysis and rewinds. Twitter, which used to be the media's loudest voice, criticized its own influencers and commended her composure. But without the flamboyance of tweets, just the tact of subpoenas and the accuracy of affidavits, political strategists murmured about 2028, the conservative AOC. Despite this, Karoline remained composed and didn't post victory selfies or revel in the spotlight.
believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first.
Concentrated since the goal was accountability, not gloating. What remained of the vista stopped broadcasts, vacant chairs, and untouched makeup rooms was ultimately handed after a long wait. A network in ruins, the public's fragile trust in the media was destroyed, ABC's brand equity was eroded, legal fees skyrocketed past $38 million, ad revenue losses topped $140 million, sponsorship void exceeded $221 million, and worst of all, this case signaled that if the public's perception of the media could change, no show was safe, no host was untouchable, and no off-script comment was above reproach. The power dynamic between the media and the audience had permanently changed. This wasn't a scandal, but rather a disastrous implosion, and at its core was a 26-year-old woman. They misjudged her, laughed at her, dismissed her, and she didn't scream back, didn't fight, she filed and won.
Radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the
She revised the guidelines. The View's demise was not solely due to poor decision-making, rather it was the product of persistent systemic haughtiness, the conviction that they were immune because of the cameras, the ratings, and the applause, and that they could portray anyone as a villain and then laugh it off during a commercial break. However, Karoline forced them to respond to every smirk, every stain, and every moment. As ABC is on the verge of going out of business, the question is not whether The View should be canceled. That ship has sailed. This was more than simply a legal decision. It was a cultural justice choice. The true query is, what sort of media takes its place? Is it still intoxicated by its own strength, or has it finally humbled itself? Not only did Karoline Leavitt create history
of your own economy, not economies around the world.
What do you think of her warning to the entire industry? Is it necessary to permanently remove The View? Has the media been held accountable at last? Is this the start of a new age where truth is more powerful than sound bites and slander have repercussions? Leave a comment below with your opinions. If you think accountability has permanently altered the media, hit like. One thing is certain, Karoline Leavitt isn't finished. If you want to follow the next chapter in this incredible narrative, subscribe.